Remember being so hyped for that remake of Thief that came out in 2014? It was going to be like a first-person Assassin's Creed. It was going to be awesome, and it wasn't. It wasn't good at all. But there was a game just like it that was good. Dishonored. Yes, Dishonored. That's the game we're going to be talking about today, everyone, and I am excited because I never played Dishonored before getting it for this video. And someone in the comments mentioned that I should play Dishonored, so shout out. And honestly, great, amazing suggestion because I have been loving Dishonored so freaking much. Now, I said that I'd never played Dishonored, and to be honest, that's not because I didn't want to play Dishonored. Well, kind of. It's not, I wasn't drawn away from Dishonored. It wasn't anything that I didn't like about the game. I just never felt like playing it. I saw that people loved it, and I saw people talk about it all the time, but I never watched gameplay of it. I never touched it because it was like, I don't really care. And I don't know why I didn't care. I love Bethesda. Skyrim is my favorite game. Fallout is one of my favorite franchises. And I love the Elder Scrolls just altogether. I don't know why I didn't try Dishonored sooner because I've been loving this game. And with that little bit that I said at the beginning about Thief, it feels like this is the game that Thief, the 2014 version, wanted to be. A little thing about Thief, I don't know if you guys knew that game was a reboot. I didn't know that until a couple years ago. And I bet the original Thief games were great. That's why people were so excited for a reboot, and it ended up being dog doo-doo in my opinion. But you guys can let me know what you think about that. This video is not about Thief. This video is about Dishonored, a much better game. So you know what? This intro's long enough. Let's just get right into it. First off, I just want to say again, I don't know why I did not play this game. I was totally missing out. Dishonored is amazing. If you have not played Dishonored and you like the Bethesda games, and especially if you like Bioshock, go play Dishonored right now. It is amazing. Off of that, let's talk about why I like this game and what makes it such an awesome game. I'm just going to go right off of what I just said. It really feels like Bioshock, like a Bioshock entry, and I absolutely love the Bioshock games. I'm working on a Bioshock video right now so you guys can hear what I think about that, but it has that grimy, cartoony aesthetic that still is full of gore, and every character model looks absolutely gut-wrenching disgusting, and it's meant to be that way, and it just works. It all works, and that's just what Bioshock did. They're not trying to do crazy good graphics. They're trying to do their own art style, but do it really well. Unlike other games that tried a unique art style and failed. These games, I don't know what to categorize it as, but I just call it Bioshock art style because Bioshock was really the first game to do that cartoony, dark feeling where it should be upbeat because it's a cartoon, but it's not. It's dark. I know I'm probably wrong on Bioshock being the first, but Bioshock was like the one that really put that into my mind. It's kind of when you see that similar art style to Borderlands. Borderlands kind of did that first. They're the ones that popularized that. And I don't know, off of the art style, which is just amazing, the graphics in general just look great. The lighting's pretty good. And I just want to point out, I'm talking about Dishonored 1. Dishonored 2 will come in another video. I have Dishonored 2 as well, but I just want to focus on Dishonored 1 in this video. I just wanted to point that out. But, you know, the art style also, it works so good with the world. That's another thing that just feels kind of Bioshocky. You know, Dunwall is this city above the water, and it's not floating, but it's really reminiscent of like the Bioshock Infinite city, where everything feels kind of stuck in the 50s, and it's grimy and there's rats. I don't know, they did so well on the world, they did so well on the character models, they did well on the voice acting. For a game that looks like this, it sounds like a straight up movie. It sounds like people are actually talking to me. They did really good on the voice acting, and I've got to say, for a Bethesda game, because a lot of Bethesda games have that knack for reusing a lot of the same voices and, you know, you have violated the law. Those kind of things. But that's one thing that Dishonored doesn't fall victim to. I was really drawn into the voice acting. I have subtitles on for most of my games because I don't really listen to the voices, but with this game, it was really easy to follow the story and listen to the characters because it was enjoyable to listen to the voice acting. You know, the characters had their own voices and it gave them personality, and they did really well on that. Another thing I really liked about it was the mechanics and the play style of this game. You know, the movement system was so smooth. That's another reason I say it's what Thief wanted to be. The parkour, I wouldn't, if I could call it parkour, I don't know. The teleporting, you know, the magic, it all feels so smooth, and the parrying and the combat. And I remember in that comment that I got about Dishonored, it was about dual wielding the weapons and the system of having a sword in your hand at all times and switching between guns, crossbows, and your magic on the offhand. That's such a unique system, and I agree with that person that it's something that Dishonored kind of does in their own way, and it's a unique thing to Dishonored, and they did it so well. You know, you don't see that in a lot of games. Sure, you see dual wielding in Skyrim or in, you know, Wolfenstein, but it's not the same dual wielding where you're locked to that sword in the right hand, but it works because you can always use that sword. You're always trying to do stealth, or you always need to have a quick parry. That was such a good mechanic idea. And honestly, after playing, I would say it is probably one of the biggest draw-ins of the game, you know, the combat system. Which, talking about smooth, the combat also felt really smooth. There's certain animations and finishing moves that just make going from one enemy to the next feel good. And what's cool about the game is you don't even have to kill anyone. If you want, you could go through and knock everyone out, or you can hit everyone with sleeping darts. And it affects the next time you visit that location in the game. If you end up murdering everyone, next time you return to that map, everyone's going to be weepers, you know? Everyone's going to be the people with the plague, or there's not going to be guards to keep them away, and it ends up being a different experience. Whereas if you knocked everyone out, they might not know about you. You know, if you kill everyone, there's posters of masked felons thrown up all over the city, and who knows, maybe that wouldn't happen if you don't. I can't say, because I love combat, and I ended up either sneaking up on everyone or just going in guns blazing loud and proud. But nevertheless, the combat system, very, very fun. And speaking of different approaches, every mission just kind of has a different approach. If you have a mission to go eliminate someone, you can choose to go on the rooftops, and you can end up finding a passageway on the roof to the person right there, or you can go through the sewers and you can end up finding a passageway into the building you need to get, and you work your way up from there. It's kind of cool when games give you that approach, and it doesn't lock you down to you have to go this area this way, nowhere else, invisible walls everywhere. This game doesn't do that. It doesn't lock you down. And that's another big draw-in of this game, I would say. And speaking of locations and stuff, I thought this game was actually going to be kind of like an open world game, but they chose more of the Dead Island 2 approach, where it is open world locations. So you go to a location, you can explore that whole location, and when you're done, you go back to a home base or something like that. You can actually return to those locations, and that's how I was saying, depending on how you deal with situations and missions, if you return, it can affect how that location actually is the next time you visit it. But I think games that do that are smart because it helps performance, and it's not really the same as locking you down to strictly story missions. But at the same time, everyone loves a good open world game, but this game is from 2012, so it makes sense that they did that at the time, and they did it really well at the time. It's not at the end of every mission, it's mission cleared. It's at the end of location, it's location cleared, and you get to go back to the location. I don't know. It feels better than a lot of games released at 2012, and I'm saying that now in 2023, 11 years later, but I don't know, I think most people would agree with me on that statement. I brought up also how there is like parkour and stuff, and I said I wouldn't call it parkour really because it's nothing like Dying Light, but one of the biggest things is like you can go from rooftop to rooftop. There are ways to get here and there without having to run through the streets, because that's the purpose of the game, staying away from the main route, staying away from the guards, staying away from the thugs, you know? And I like stealthy games that do that, and as I said, Thief wanted to be this game because Thief did all that stuff, and it really felt a lot like this game releasing 2 years later. It's like they played Dishonored and was like, this could have been Thief, let's reboot it. But again, this video is not about Thief. I have a little bit of beef with Thief because I was so excited to play that game, and when I got it, it was just such a big disappointment. People might like that game, and people might actually be argumentative with me on that one in the comments, but I just could not play that game, and maybe it's because I played it so long ago and I might have a different experience now on mouse and keyboard, but something about it. Good thing this game is not Thief though, because I love Dishonored, and to be honest, I was surprised that I have not played it. You know, I said it was a Bethesda game. I love Bethesda games, and honestly, this feels like it shouldn't even be a Bethesda game. It feels like an Outer Worlds to the Bethesda universe, if that makes sense. You know, it feels like it was made by Arkane, and Bethesda just, you know, Bethesda, to my knowledge, owns Arkane, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. They did so well, and I couldn't have been happier with a finished product. And, you know, there is a definitive edition. I don't know if it changes anything. They might, but to my knowledge, I think it just is the original game and they give you all the DLC. But there's a second Dishonored, which looks really good. Looks like they're following the same formula this game did. So can't wait to play that when I finish this. And I'll make a video on that game too. But first, I just got to finish the first game, and I gotta know the story of Dishonored 1. And speaking of the story, it's a good story. It's super intriguing. You are Corvo, a bodyguard for the Empress. You end up watching her murder right in front of you, and all the guards run up and they end up thinking it's you, so you have to go on the run, and you end up finding these group of people who are loyalists to the throne, and they know that you couldn't have done it because you were a respectable bodyguard, and they end up recruiting you to become an assassin to get back at all the people who planned that murder and to save her daughter. And it's just a super intriguing story. Obviously, I haven't finished it yet, but what I have gotten through is so good. And you know, all of the stuff I said in this video really just draws me back to, if you have not played Dishonored, don't make the same mistake I made, and you need to go get this game and play it. It can't be that expensive right now. The game's been out since 2012. So, you know, it's an 11-year-old game. I bet you can find it cheap. But, you know, I don't want this video to be any longer than it needs to be. I just wanted to share my thoughts on Dishonored and let you guys know that you should definitely go give it a try. I think that's all for this video. If you agreed with anything I said or disagreed, let me know in the comments. If you learned something new, let me know in the comments. You probably didn't, because I was just talking about what I like. Nevertheless, if you want to hear some brand new music and maybe heard it in the background of the video, go check out BillyTheWhip.com or just Billy the Whip on any music platform. You'll find it. And yeah, that's about it. I gotta say it, you know, have a wondrous heat wave day, because it's hot where I'm living.
Eyes glowing like a Ronin, tossing out checks, I'm overthrowing. It lasts forever, my spit ongoing. Old tracks, I'm loathing new tracks. Start scrolling, no trolling like bowling. Knocking down pins, down pawns, no folding. Always patrolling when I can.